right, y'all. Welcome back to another book club. This is the summary. This is the chapter three summary. So, chapter three summary of Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. So, this was a very short chapter, I must add. Not gonna keep you long on this one. I don't think so, because it was pretty short, to the point, and yeah, no sense of holding you long. So, I always tell you, take notes. Taking notes is a good thing. It helps you remember the things that you read. So, chapter 3, lesson 3 was called Mind Your Own Business. I like that. Mind your own business. Note I made was knowing what's your bottom line. What's your business? If I ask you right now, if I say, hey, what's your business? And you tell me, oh, I'm a banker. But do you own the bank? If you don't own that bank, then you're not a banker. I'll expound on that. But know what's your bottom line. Ray Kroc from McDonald's, about 1974, he went to speak at University of Texas in Austin. And while he was there, he gave this amazing speech and for the MBA class. And afterwards, they was like, hey, you want to go get some beers at our spot? Some of the people asked him. And Ray was like, you know what? Sure. Why not? So Ray goes and have beer, but he asked the question. He was like, yo, what business am I in? And people just laughed him off. What business am I in? They laughed him off like, shut up, Ray. You ain't talking. What business am I in? Ray asked. And they finally tell Ray, man, we know you're in the hamburger business and you're making bukus of money. That's when Ray says, I knew you all would say that. I'm not in the hamburger business. I'm in the real estate business. Wow. So I take it as it sparked one of Robert's friends who was actually in that MBA class, because after it was explained to him that McDonald's usually is on like every major corner and the locations are just picked out, and usually around that location they're probably holding the key to that block or that corner or that intersection. So they're pretty much buying up things. And when you get a franchise, they're pretty much making sure that franchise is in like prime real estate area. So Ray Kroc never forgot his bottom line, which is real estate, which is an asset. And he was using McDonald's as just like the base, but he never lost sight of what, he was focused on. And that's the third secret of the rich. Mind your own business. He never lost sight of what was his business, and his business was real estate. Just so happened he got into the burger selling business. You get your hamburger selling business. So, financial struggles is often directly the result of people working all their lives for someone else. I know it's people in our lives that we probably know that works for someone else. So, that really stuck out to me. He says in this chapter, educational systems, they focus on preparing the youth to get good jobs by focusing on developing scholastic skills. So what that means is, what he was trying to say is, usually whatever you go to school for, whatever you go to school for, you start it, you learn it, and eventually you become that. So if you're a cook, if you're going to school for cooking, you're eventually going to become a chef. But are you a chef of your own business, or are you a chef at someone else's restaurant? Are you working for someone, or are you minding your own business? Let's say you go to a scientist. Usually, I went to school for chemistry. At most I knew after school was, hey, let's go to somebody's lab and get a job. And that's pretty much what I did. I went to somebody's lab and got a job. But was I working on chemistry for minding my own business and being my own person to plug my asset column? I can't say I was. The problem with school, he says, is like what I said. You become what you study. And on 131, I wanted to read a little excerpt that I found interesting. It says the mistake in becoming what you study is that too many people forget to mind their own business. They spend their lives minding someone else's business and making that excuse me, and making that person rich. How many times have you been in a job, honestly, where you've sat and you've been like, yo, I'm not doing something I love. I'm just making somebody else rich. Actually, that's my current mindset. So it's kind of like, that's why I like this book. It's really speaking to me. Last thing it says, your business revolves around your asset column, not your income column. So whatever you're investing in asset-wise or buying asset-wise, real true assets, that's what your business is. That's what your bottom line is. So if you like collecting baseball cards that grow and, cost and stuff like, that's your true business. But he's not saying stop what you're doing and stop. You can keep your day job, but you need to know what you need to keep expenses low and know what you're putting your money into, your assets, which is their baseball business. So we're gonna move forward. I didn't want this to be a long video. Alrighty. Because of no financial foundation, the poor and middle class are fiscally conservative. What does that mean? All that means is because we haven't been taught. I'm gonna say we because I'm technically in the middle poor class, whatever you want to call it. I'm honest with myself, so I don't care. We haven't been taught the same things that a lot of different cultures or different parents have taught their kids. At least for me, I'm gonna say I haven't. Let me put me in there. I haven't. So it's like me mining my way through and learning things. I'm getting better, but because you're so fiscally conservative, it means that I can't take risks. So it was like usually, and over time I've kind of put some money up and did some things, which is pretty beneficial. But over time, but before I was just like, yo, I can't because I ain't got the money. I ain't got the money. And usually once you start speaking that, you really don't have the money because you're making yourself not have the money, not sitting back and thinking, how can I get the money? That's what he said in chapter 1. It's kind of like the rich dad used to say, yo, you need to change your vocabulary. And that's deep sometimes. It can bring you out the mud, get you out the mud. So he also goes on to say job downsizing expose non-assets. So in many instances, people get this notion of, yo, I got assets, right? But like now, it's a lot of people do the shoe trading, right? I buy shoes, I sell them, but assets truly appreciate in value and not necessarily depreciate. If you get those shoes now, you sit on them and sit on them. In a financial crisis like the one we're experiencing right now, are those shoes gonna be worth more or worth less? They typically don't hold value. So when job downsizing was a thing, as it is right now, as we're seeing plain face, you start to see what are really assets. Like a car, it loses 25% of value as soon as you drive it off a lot. He bought golf clubs, and when he tried to go to when you try and trade those golf clubs in that costed $4,000, once you tee off once, they're worth $1,500. So that's a 75% hit right there. Like it's crazy. So it's like be smart about the assets that you do gain and the things that you do pay attention to, or that you call assets and beneficial to you and your wealth. He also says you can put anything, almost anything as assets on like a financial sheet, but in a time of financial crisis, the true test is the asset holding close to original value. So another thing he points out in this chapter is when you're getting those assets for your minding your own business, when you're getting those assets, you be sure that it holds that original value, if not more. But also in the case of like shoes, if you're using shoes, let's say you do make more money, it's taxed by the government as well, so you're taxed on the gain. So that sums up chapter 3. Chapter 3 was about minding your own business, finding your assets, the things that you love to do or that can make you money without physically being there working. Um, he also made note in this chapter of, be sure if you want to start a company, be sure that's what you want to do. It's a lot of hard work, so you got to be ready for it. He doesn't necessarily like to do it, and different strokes for different folks. You take bits and pieces. I'm not saying this is the end all be all book, but you take bits and pieces and you learn. Like, just be mindful that assets is what the rich are using to get better. And that was the sum of chapter 3. So don't lose yourself in these jobs. Always stay focused and mind your business. So sometimes get off work, go home, look at the computer or read a book or plan something, but plan to build your assets column. And, the sky's the limit. Well, the sky isn't the limit because this place is beyond the sky. So keep pushing. And if I read, you read, and we read, then we can make the world a better place. Hey, stay tuned later on. I'll be back at you with the book club meeting, and we'll talk more in depth about some of this stuff. See ya.